The world's changing. We've all sensed it. The prophecy is clear. Our duty is to protect the girl and the boy, wherever they are.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Film Optix, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network. I'm your host, Christian, and today we're going to be reviewing episode 1 of the latest HBO series, His Dark Materials, Season 2. And today I'm actually joined by Griffin from Film Speak. How are you doing today, man?
Dude, I'm doing pretty well, man. Thanks for asking. Great to be on here podcasting with you. It's a little bit different because like whenever I do these like television recaps, there is like so much pressure on me because I'm doing it as like a live stream. Like I have the camera rolling, I've got lights on me. I'm like, it feels like a fucking production. So then, now when I don't have to worry about like what I look like on camera, not that I look bad right now, but like, I don't have to worry about, looking at the camera or whatever. It just feels, I don't know, it's a little more laid back. I'm more comfortable just behind the microphone,
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. And, we've had our YouTube channel before, but I've kind of fallen off of that just because it is a lot to keep up with. I know it's
Come on.
I honestly have no excuse whatsoever. It was just, I don't know. I really have no excuse for it. Maybe one day we'll fire it back up. Get around maybe. If people subscribe to the podcast enough, drain some interest and, go into that route. But yeah, man, we like to do it nice and easy here.
For sure.
I'm just chilling at home. So
yeah, no, I mean, likewise right now I'm just sitting in my like pseudo studio / room and it's great. Love it.
It really is, man. But before we begin today's review, I would like to personally thank HBO for allowing us both to watch and review this series. And of course, you can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Red Circle, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and of course, Amazon Music. And you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. So Griffin, it's time. His Dark Materials Season 2.
Yes.
It's here. Well, it's almost here.
well, it's here for us. We're just sitting here like, we've had the first 5 episodes for weeks now, and now you guys get to see what we're all excited about. Full disclosure, I have legitimately only watched the first episode, so I have no idea what's coming next. Christian may know, but he's not going to let on. He's not going to let on.
I can't. That would be way too mean. It's like we have all the knowledge and they don't as of yet. But did you want to get into spoilers for this review, or did you?
Absolutely. How can we talk about it without spoilers?
Okay. So we've been getting a lot of screeners here on the channel. Usually we do spoilers, but we've been trying to tame ourselves to do more non-spoiler. Because you're watching things early, you don't want to give anything away. So it's like,
listen, we're in season 2 of a show on HBO Max. If you are listening to this episode, you have seen the show and you have seen episode 1. So that's all I got to say about that.
It's a great time, man. It is
love it.
Fantastic. And of course, season 2 starts off exactly where, season 1 literally like left off. Like you have Lyra and her father who completely just like, holy shit.
Lord Asriel, man.
Asriel. I mean, I love James McAvoy, but I'm not sure.
It made you hate him. It really I've never hated James McAvoy before in my life. And then like seeing what just all the shit that he does in the season finale of season 1, I was just like, F you, man. Like you're the worst.
He's literally the worst father ever.
Yeah,
but I'm like Professor X, this is not like you. Like, what's going on? This is. But of course, the world's in a chaotic state due to the events of Lord Asriel sacrificing.
Yeah, right.
But sacrificing Roger to open a portal to a new world in search of the answers to dust, which I think is a very interesting concept. Full disclosure, I have seen the first 5 episodes, but we're only going to talk about episode 1 today. Mm-hmm. So That's that. I just want to throw that out there so people aren't like, oh my gosh, it seems like he knows more than just
Well,
watching.
it's because he does, and that's why I'm on here, because I've only seen the first episode, and so I won't let on anything because I can't.
I couldn't stop watching. It was just, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah. As a season premiere, do you think it did everything that it should have done? Like, got us back in with the characters, got us, progressing the plot more, was like really interesting and like exciting, really attention grabbing and whatnot.
Absolutely. Because, okay, so when I first started season 1, when it first came out, like, I will admit, season 1 starts off like incredibly slow, but I feel like it's necessary because to a point, I feel like season 1 is almost, or at least half of it is more of like a prologue to, when shit actually goes down in season 1 and then spiraling into season 2. I thought this was a great introduction, like, hey, we're back. Here's these new characters, and just there's a ominous feel going on. The world's in this crazy chaotic state. The world's in peril. Everyone's trying to figure out what to do. Azrael literally he just dropped the ball and everything just went haywire, all because he's this whole dust situation. It's insane.
Yeah, no, for sure. I thought it was it was a solid season premiere. I think it definitely set up a lot of intrigue, especially with the what is it, the Spectre, or the whatever the like ghost thing, or the thing that basically comes and consumes what's his name? Yeah, adults, and then obviously we see towards the end of the episode it starts to consume was his name Will, I believe.
Yeah,
right. And so like there's a lot of stuff going on, and like while that's happening, we also get like the prophet, like Lyra looking at her alethiometer and basically like saying like, okay, there's something else sort of like going on here. It's like he's supposed to be here for some reason, I'm supposed to be here for some reason. There was a lot of just like really eerie quietness, and just like it felt like, like obviously as we see at the end of the episode, like shit is going to go down and like things are going to get really intense. And this is just sort of like the waiting period as like these two people from two different worlds come together and like sort of start to, piece together what this whole, interdimensional thing is. And I loved so much of the character interactions between Will and Lyra, because they just felt like so sweet and genuine. And I liked the fact that like while Will was like a little hesitant at first, he was like, what the hell are you talking about, like where are you coming from and whatnot, it didn't take him like several episodes to really buy into it. He just like because he went through a portal, he was automatically like, okay, so I guess I'm gonna believe that there are multiple worlds and stuff like that. And so like seeing them learn about like what was in their respective worlds, I thought was like a really nice way of bringing them together.
I agree 100%, because I think Amir Wilson plays well. During season 1, he was there.
That was probably my least favorite part of season 1, was just like every time we cut to him and everything that was going on there, I was like, we're detracting from the interesting stuff, even though I know why that's necessary.
Yeah, it was setting up, but like at the same time, I'm like, I feel like nothing's going on here. And then like obviously it was more of a setup for season 2, because I believe there are 3 books in the His Dark Material realm. I'm sorry if I'm there are. I got that wrong.
No, you're right. There are 3 books. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I know Lyra's important, obviously, but I don't know what her real name is, or sometimes I even wonder, I'm like, are her parents even really her parents? Because we see when the witches are coming in like kicking ass, and then like all this crap happens, and then they're like, oh, Lyra's real name, and the witch that got captured by Lyra's mother, Mrs. Coulter?
Yeah, Mrs. Coulter. Yeah.
And I mean, she's as vile as she ever has been.
She's one of the most fascinating characters in the entire series, just because like for every moment where it's like you want to hate her, she does something that's like really like motherly, and then you see another side to her and you can see that she's sort of like
Mhm.
conflicted. It's like she hates the Magisterium, but then also like she kind of has her own agenda. And like we see in this episode, she starts to like come into a position of power. Um, and so I don't know. For me,
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know. She just continues to be one of the most interesting characters in the entire series. And Ruth Wilson is unbelievable in that role for sure. And definitely in this episode, we get more of that darker side of her as she's like torturing the witch and everything. She's pulling out like it
Oh,
looked like feathers out of her and stuff like that. I
yeah.
mean, it's just
It's
like,
something that makes them fly or like,
right.
yeah, it's something weird, but
Yeah. It's like
ugh.
you know, when we see her with Lyra, we see her in a more like, motherly, sort of like intimate, we understand where she's coming from, especially, with the interaction with Azrael towards the end of season 1. It's like we get her good side a little bit more. But then,
Yeah.
man, when she's like trying to, when she's dealing with people who aren't directly tied to her personal life, oh my
Woo.
God. I mean, she's ruthless. Yeah.
I'm afraid of her, honestly. I'm
Oh,
like, I
dude, for
think I can
sure.
fix her, but not really.
Yeah.
Well, because it's weird because we see in season 1, Lyra almost gets severed from her demon. And
Yes.
it made me wonder, so even within season 1 and coming on to season 2, it's like, is Mrs. Cole is Lyra's mother, is she severed from her demon? Because it
I
seems that way.
Oh, you think so?
Because yeah, because I remember in season 1 when Pan and Lyra had noticed her demon, like I guess you and your demon have to be within a certain range of each other because
Mm,
you are part of one another. But she had Lyra mentioned in season 1, she said, how is she traveling anywhere without her demon? And then
right,
we see later on when shit goes down with the missing children, um, that they're severing their demons from each other, from their partners. But it makes me
right.
think that Lyra's mother is somehow severed because there is definitely something off about her. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I don't think her demon is severed by any means. I just think like it was just a case of
and her
um
demon doesn't talk.
yeah, right, yeah, which makes it extra creepy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Like
mean, I don't know, maybe you're right. You might have more information that would lead you to believe that than but I just think it's like maybe she's just able to control her demon in a way that like I don't know. It's yeah, I don't know. I just I don't necessarily think that that's the case, but
okay.
um what do you I guess what do you I mean, granted you've seen more episodes than I, but like based off of this episode, obviously she's trying to get power
Yeah.
in order to kind of like revamp the establishment that is I guess that she's largely disagreed with,
Mm.
but also sort of like wants to manipulate in a way. Anyways, what do you think her ultimate end goal is?
That is a tough decision. So what from what we've seen from season 1, um she cares very deeply for her daughter Lyra. And I think her ultimate goal, and she's said this from time and time again, that every single time we've talked about, when they are, when they cross paths, obviously Lyra has a reason to hate her mother, but her mother seems to be overprotective. I think her mother knows something about Lyra that she doesn't know. And
Well,
they
that's
also,
do you think that she knows something about like who she really is,
I
or
think
do
she
you?
does know.
Okay,
From what I've yes, from episodes 1 through 5, from what I've seen, I think she does know something. But
okay,
obviously nothing has been spoken of because I think they even said in season 1 that she has to fulfill her destiny, and if she knows what she has to do, then it's off. It's kind of like Anakin going to the dark side.
right,
If he
right,
knew what was going on, even though he technically knew in the Clone Wars, a TV show, but then his memory got wiped, he found out and he's like, I cannot become this monster. and then he would
Yeah.
never bring balance to the force. So I feel like there is some kind of similar, not mindset, but similarities between, oh, obviously this is more like the hero's journey, the classic hero's journey. She doesn't know who she is or what she has to do until she's done the deed, whatever that is.
Right. Well, and that's the thing with the witches, right? Like the witches are like basically the ones like making sure that she's, in a hands-off sort of way, just like making sure she continues on the path that she's going down. No interference, but like they want to assist her so that she like doesn't get killed or anything. And so it's like the witches know who she is, what she's doing, and everything. And we saw Mrs. Coulter trying to get that information out of one of the witches in this episode before the other witch, and I forgive me, I don't remember her name, but like
I don't remember her name either, but she came in.
Yeah, when she dude, that was so cool. Yeah, when she came in and was just like slowed down time, and then just like sadly had to sacrifice her sister, and then she came in, and then she stabbed the I believe it was like the head of the Magisterium and everything. So it's right, and it was just. and then that allowed Mrs. Coulter to sort of like start the wheels sort of churning on her takeover and everything. And I don't there's a lot that I'm really curious about that's going on there, especially with the witches, and then like Lee's involvement with them, and he's sort of like Lyra's guardian angel and everything, and like trying to get people.
Scoresby, that's right.
Yeah, right. And to be honest, he is probably one of my and this might be an unpopular opinion, but he's probably one of my least favorite characters in the show. I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. I just don't think he I don't know. I don't want to say that he doesn't act well in the role, but he's definitely the weaker link out of this whole chain. But I am sort of curious to see what happens with him, because obviously we know that he goes out just based off of the promo material, but he goes out, and then eventually I believe he comes in contact with Andrew Scott's character, who is Will's father, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
yeah, that is promotional. So
yeah. even though you've seen the first 5 episodes and that is true.
Yes. Yeah, it is, man. It's just, and I plan on rewatching these, as
yeah, week to week.
Week to week, because one viewing is never enough for me, at least. There might be things that I might have missed, but I know with the Spectres, when Will and Daphne run into the other children in the I think episode 1 of season 2 is Lost City of Magpies. Yeah, and we see Lyanna Mormont, who played Game of Thrones. HBO loves to recycle their actors and actresses.
I hated her in this episode. She was, and not because she was a bad actress or anything, I was just like, her character just annoyed me.
She definitely appears in other multiple episodes. I think they are kind of there. Well, how like adaptations always are with TV and books. It's like, what characters do we leave in, which characters do we leave out? I'm not even sure if those characters are real within the books, or if it's just either characters that are sometimes they put 2 characters together to make one character in a way.
Yeah.
And it's like really weird. I really don't know. But they definitely appear up in random moments. But I can't say they've really contributed anything to the plot.
Yeah, because that was going to be the thing. It's like, what? First of all, they're in this new like city or whatever. They're trying to figure out. They're trying to sort their bearings, and they have that conversation about Oxford and like wanting to go to Will's Oxford to learn more about dust and all that stuff, and Lyra's sort of pursuit of just understanding that stuff. And then these kids are sort of around, and they're just like, and they're like harassing a cat, and I'm like, what's going on with them? And here's the other thing. It's like, are they, because I assume that we now know that this city is a place where people of all worlds can sort of like come in, and like it's sort of like a port, like a holding cell. Yeah, like a hub or something like that. Yeah. how many of them are actually from that place, or are they from all over, and they've sort of just gotten lost in
Mm.
this city, and now they're there, and they've been completely altered and whatnot.
Yeah, because what they said with the specters and with I'll just call her Leanna Mormont or Lady Mormont because I forgot her real name, but she had went up to Will and said, oh, like you better make sure the specters don't get you. This, and she says, like, this one's close. And I mean, we've seen, from season 1, Will is a kid who pretty much had no choice but to grow up because, of his father's abandonment and then his mother not being in the right state of mind. He's kind of have to, become the number one caretaker in their house, especially with his mother, because she seems a bit schizophrenic. We don't necessarily know her conditions. She's just not well, is what we really know, and that hasn't really changed so far.
Right.
Because it's like her, he just leaves his mom. She's just like, oh yeah, hey, stay with my teacher. Then,
Yeah.
he's a good guy, right? He's
Yeah.
fine, whatever. And then, because like towards the end of season 1, when Will entered that portal, I thought Will was going to enter into Lyra's world, and Lyra was moving on to sit. So obviously, we see with this episode that is not true. Something must have happened when Lord Asriel's sacrifice, with that big rip in the sky, like talk about a grand exit. It's crazy. Like
yeah, no, for sure. That I loved the season finale last season. I thought it was like it really was like that perfect climax for sure. But yeah, and it was like really emotional and sad and everything, and so like it is yeah, well, that's exactly what I was gonna say. It was like I thought that's definitely what I thought was that like Lyra was gonna go into like Will's world, which is our world that we know, and then Will was gonna go into Lyra's world. But like obviously the two had to come together because they're basically like the two chosen ones, the yin and yang and all that whatnot. So it makes sense that they were supposed to come together. Now the question is, after Lyra at the end of this episode reading the alethiometer, are they going to remain in this world? Because like I was saying at the beginning, it's like they have unfinished business here, or are they eventually, or are they going to move out and go into Oxford? And then if they do that, then Will's sort of in a situation where he's going to be constantly on the run. I don't know. There's just sort of like a lot that's going on. The stakes are definitely high, and like we're learning more about Will. In the process, obviously there is like a darkness inside of him, and so I don't know what. Like, do you have any theories about what that could be, or like what that all means and stuff?
So, well, doing my best not to spoil anything. So I guess for a theory, because I'm still trying to figure this out myself. So for the longest time, I thought for whatever reason, like obviously, like we said, Lyra and Will they're connected in some way. For some reason, I thought they were like brother and sister, but then I don't know. It's just something's like, okay, maybe they were. I thought for like a split second that they were, and then I was like, okay, never mind. That there's no way. But then again,
well, there's also right. It's like maybe they're brother and sister, but then also there's like the show doesn't shy away from like its religious undertones.
Oh, I actually love that about this show.
Right. So I was like, yeah, but that got me thinking about what the symbolism between the two of them. Like, are they sort of like the Adam and the Eve kind of characters?
Yeah, that's what I was about to think.
Yeah.
So with Will, to go back to your question about the darkness, because we see him indirectly kill that one guy who was infiltrating his house in season 1, because he's a bit of a boxer. I think Will is a troubled kid, but I think his darkness is kind of misunderstood, because as of right now, for the longest time, his father has been dead,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
yeah. So it's, that's obviously still affecting him, and I think he's a little bit of a troubled kid, but it's kind of like, don't judge a book by its cover type thing.
Right.
Well, I'm trying not to.
No, that I think
I'm
that's
trying
fair
not to
because
say anything, I promise.
I'm trying to remember back to season 1 if we really got a
Yeah.
sense of just like obviously we understand that there's
Ruth's
trauma.
like there.
Yeah, right. It's like we know that there's trauma in his past, like obviously with
Yeah.
his father and like not having like the best relationship, just like with a family. And then you're right. Yeah, he does accidentally, or I don't know if he accidentally, but he kills that guy. When he's trying to protect like the family, it was like
And it was like these letters.
yeah,
that,
the letters. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, right. It's like the sob story mixed with him killing that guy. Right. There's definitely they've already hinted to the darkness inside of him, and now Lyra is sort of starting to find out the truth about it and whatnot. Yeah, it will be interesting to sort of see that whole thing, and how does dust affect him? We know that in Lyra's world, dust sort of starts to settle, and that's when their demon comes into its final form. But in the real world, it's like, what is that equivalent? Like, where does that whole thing sort of fit in? And I really liked the line in the episode where Lyra was saying, dust is for the people who are, who see it as evil, they see it as sin, but it's like, but perhaps, maybe it's good. And I think that's, demons are basically like they're an extension of their soul and their personality. And it's like, they sort of change and they adapt and they do things, they cause mischief. And it's like, they might not be always doing like the most moral things like as kids or whatever, but it's just part of being a person. And it's sort of saying like, don't shy away from being who you are. You're in this state of flux and whatnot before you settle and then become this like senile person or whatever,
Before you become a Squidward of
right,
the world.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm like completely off on that, but I think there is
like that was really, really good point. I wish I could talk more about that, but I can't. But
right.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I'm trying to figure out, because we haven't seen Lyra's demon settle as of yet. So I wonder what its final form is, because I know that there was a movie called The Golden Compass, which is apparently a part of his Dark Materials. I think it's either book 1 or book 2. I
think it was book 1. Have you ever seen the film?
No, I'm actually glad that I did it, because like I want no spoilers of what's going on. Obviously, book readers know everything. When it comes to like shows like this, especially like Game of Thrones, and this is like one of my favorite shows since Game of Thrones, by the way.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like 100%. But I love it how, we essentially get 2 versions of the story. Like I'll watch the TV show first. And like, even with Game of Thrones, I watched the show all the way through, and it really prompted me to read the books, and you get more story. There's a lot more side plots, things of that nature. They go a little bit more depth with the characters, so it's something you really something I really appreciate. So once if this gets renewed for a season 3, which
I assume that it will, because it's 3 books, it'll be 3 seasons, all that stuff. Perfect. So yeah. but I agree with you. Like it's definitely, watching that first film is definitely a translation of the first book, which was the Golden Compass. There were some things they left out, and there were some things that were changed, but it was basically an adaptation of that. And you could definitely tell that this series is better suited for the long form television format for sure. But yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of interesting things to explore still. We're just getting started. I think that just as an episode, season premiere. It built the intrigue. Wasn't really action packed, but there was like enough going on to to get me excited, and the character moments, again, going back to that, the chemistry between the two leads was like really genuine. I just, yeah, it was just really good. Dealing with stuff, issues of like identity, how people view one another, and then yeah, and it all does it in a really like subtle way. It's never like beating you over the head with a message or so. So yeah, I think it definitely it positions the show to go into an interesting direction in episode 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I will. Like I said, I'll definitely be rewatching. I'll probably rewatch it on HBO Max. I really don't know, because sometimes the resolution isn't always the best with the screeners, and sometimes they say, hey, this isn't the final cut of this episode. There might be like a small change here or there, but probably something we'll never even know unless we're looking at it side by side.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I want to give a shout out to Jack Thorne, who again, he wrote the episode. He wrote all the episodes last season. I believe he's writing all the episodes this season. I hope he is. He just really knows how to pace an episode, how to connect all these intricate plot lines. It's really impressive. So again, kudos to him.
Has he written anything else that I might have known? I'm not.
Well,
I've heard his name.
He's a playwright. And then he also wrote. He contributed to Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Sadly, but we don't talk about that. That's okay. We don't talk about that.
I still haven't read it. I mean, I know the plot points.
Just don't.
Well, I mean, I'll probably have to suffer through Crimes of Grindelwald 3 or whatever. Fantastic.
Right.
I mean, I have to now. I'm too far gone into this series. Like, I'm sorry. The good and bad, I'll take it all. I don't even
Right. Oh man.
But yeah, was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we wrap up here?
No. I think it's just like it's pretty straightforward. It sets up the season nicely, and I'm looking forward to episode 2.
You're not ready, Griffin. That's all I have to say.
Listen, I know I'm not ready, but I am ready. I'm ready to experience it.
I got you. Well, you also have to get ready to get a PlayStation 5 whenever you get one.
That's not going to be till 2021. That's yeah.
I think everyone has like accepted, because I've not seen a single person like today or yesterday is like, oh my God, I actually got a PlayStation 5, through online. I haven't seen a single person online.
I don't actually believe anyone was able to get one yesterday. It was all bots and scalpers. I'm seeing PS5s on every freaking marketplace selling for like over $1,000. I'm like, fuck you guys. I'm done. No, I can wait. I'll wait. I'll wait.
Yeah, honestly, if you're lucky enough, congratulations. If not, just keep trying when you can. Don't get too desperate. The generation has literally just begun. And even if you have a PlayStation 4, there's plenty of games that's still going to be coming out for it. Sony's really good at, treating, or I guess like tending to their audience that hasn't necessarily made the jump yet.
It's like a slow transition. Yeah.
I'm a big early adopter. Like, I love to see how tech starts. Like, I bought my PS4 day one, and I remember it was so fun and cool to have, but it's like, I had a few things to play, but this time around, with your PS4 library carrying over to your PS5, you definitely have a lot more games to, jump back into if you want to, a lot more performance boosts and stuff. But just be patient, everyone. It sucks, but I mean, honestly, I think these consoles should have been delayed till next year anyway, but it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
But all right, so that pretty much concludes today's review. I would love to, do this the entire season, because like we found each other. We were like, oh my gosh, who likes his Dark Materials?
Yeah.
I haven't heard a peep from anyone. I was like, oh my gosh.
No one watches this show. Listen, if you like, I know if you're listening to this, you probably watch the social, and so I'm just going to be like speaking out into the void. But like, his Dark Materials is legitimately the show that is positioned to become HBO's next Game of Thrones best. I don't think it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing it's missing is the viewership, honestly, because it's got the spectacle, it's fantasy, it's got the budget.
Aesthetics are great too. Like it's not crappy CGI. Like it's actually really good.
Oh, I know. It's a really, really good show that needs to be on a lot more people's radars. So if you haven't watched it and you're listening to this episode and you got to the end, I'm very confused, but also like, please watch the series. That's that's all I got to say.
This sponsor is brought to you by HP. No,
I mean, just please watch the series.
Yeah, but I think part of it, I will say, is a little bit of HBO's fault because of HBO Max. Because since this show is on HBO and it streams on HBO Max as well, HBO Max, the application itself is not legally available on Roku or Amazon devices as of right now, which really sucks. It's some kind of weird deal agreement that these monolith companies can't come to a agreement about something. But I think that's more the reason why, just because that's a pretty big market. I mean, like, I have an Apple TV, so I'm fine. But not everyone has an Apple TV. They're expensive, but I personally think they're definitely worth it. But hey, people want more of the Android side, and that's fine. But yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why, because I believe their numbers would skyrocket if it was available, legally on those platforms. That might be the reason why.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, people are always going to find a way to get around that anyway. So
for sure.
But yeah, watch the show. This video is sponsored by HBO Max. I wish.
Yeah, no, for real.
But anyway, yeah, that does conclude today's review. Thank you all for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on the podcast platform of your choosing, and make sure to check out the other shows on the Drive-In Podcast Network over on Music City. Yeah, wow, I cannot tell. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. Go check out the other podcast shows on musiccitydrivein.com. The link is in the description below. But I wanted to give the floor to Griffin. Griffin, let everyone know where they can find you online and what is coming up on your channel.
Yeah, for sure. So you can follow me personally on Twitter at Griff Schiller. You can also follow FilmSpeak at _FilmSpeak, and you can head on over to the FilmSpeak YouTube channel. We're doing recaps in The Mandalorian. We've got interviews going up, reviews going up, all that stuff. I will have a video essay on Pixar's Soul coming out next week. Very exciting. And then I also have an essay on Quantum of Solace coming out towards the end of November. So definitely go check out the channel for all that good content.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're a really big James Bond guy. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't hate James Bond. I can just never get in to that series. I don't know what it is. I don't like Fallout, like Mission Impossible. I'll watch them if they're on, but like I would never go out of my way to watch them.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. It's just one of those things. Like, I'll watch Kim Possible all day though. It's good.
But you're just not a spy. You're just not a spy fiction guy.
I guess not. I mean, I kind of wish I wish there was more movies that people like that I wish I can get into them. I really do. But it is what it is. But all right, everybody. Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, that pretty much concludes today's review. My name is Christian, and that was Griffin, and we will see you guys in the next review.